we have a lot of information to take in yesterday? Was it kind of like drinking water from a fire hydrant, yes or no? Isn't that kind of how it was? I was speaking to somebody this morning, and they said, man, I can't believe, by 3 o'clock, I was just like, done. And it's kind of how it is. How do we take this stuff all together? Where do we start? I mean, what's the first thing that we do? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? It was only the first day, though. There's a lot more. And yes, we are going to have to plan. And yes, we are going to have to start practicing. You know, everyone wants the good stuff. They want to know how to close, right? Any dealership I go into, it's like, I just want to know how to close this deal. Well, yesterday we kind of talked about it. What is closing? Is it closing kind of like everything that we do from the time the customer gets to the dealership till they leave? Or is it just something that we do in one step only? Well, closing is a step, but really it's everything that we do all along the way. Is that right? Now, yesterday, I'd like to know real quick on the sales process, if you had any questions or anything that you picked up yesterday that you think may help your team. Who has some? How about you, Chris? You don't know where to start? What's one thing that you heard yesterday in the sales process that you think may be able to help the team? Why is it so important to have a manager meet a customer within the first 3 minutes? Build rapport. What else? Let's take our process out of it. Forget our process for a minute. Why is it so important for a manager to meet a customer in the first 3 minutes? Get them comfortable. Let's take a look at the basics. You remember yesterday we said the basics are the basics? They'll never change. They have nothing to do with rubber, glass, and metal. It has nothing to do with the car. The basics are the basics. It's a thought process. When a customer comes into our dealership, this is when they get here. This is when they leave. You can draw a line on the paper like I did. What was the first step? We said that 71% of the people bought because they liked who? Their salesperson. So since 71% of the people bought only because they liked their salesperson, the first thing we have to accomplish is what? What is it? They have to like us first. So when the customer comes into the dealership, what are they thinking? They're thinking, wow, you know, I spoke to this really nice person on the phone and they told me all these wonderful things. Is it really true? They're shooting holes in everything that we do before they even pull on the lot. They're thinking to themselves, the last dealership that they left, you know, the experience, do you think it was a good experience or a bad experience in most cases in our industry? Bad. And who created that? We did. We're the car guys. Is that right? Yes or no? So when they come into the dealership, they have all this running through their mind. They want to know, am I approved? Am I really going to be able to get 0 down, 99 a month? Am I really going to be able to get 0 down, 99 a month? Or how about just 0 down? Obviously, they got sold on an appointment. Now, where most of us drop the ball is in the dealership. And that's what I'd like to focus on this morning. Yesterday, all the information that we gave, it was a lot of information. But let's just let's put our focus on what happens in the dealership when the customer gets here. After they like us, then what happens? They start to what? After they like us, they what? And after they listen, they start to believe. And after they believe, what happens? Now we have a shot to close the deal. Is that right? Now, these first few steps are so important. We said that we had to make a great first impression. Is that right? Now, why does a manager meet them within the first 3 minutes? To make a great first impression. The salesperson, how do they look? What do they look like? Where did the first impression start? We talked about it yesterday. Where did it start? At home. Before they ever get there. You know, Helmy said that we expect our salespeople and our employees just to know. But sometimes they just don't know. We have to train on these things. We have to let them know. Is there a written procedure like Helmy was speaking about yesterday? What are they to look like? What are they to dress like? Are they shaved? They smell good? No, what'd you call it, Helmy? Piranha breath? No piranha breath. And then they meet the nice manager, like the maitre d' of a restaurant. Is that right? In the first 3 minutes, we made a great first impression. After a great first impression, when the customer pulls in, we gave them a warm and friendly what? Greeting. And after a warm and friendly greeting, we slowed down a little bit in the steps and we built some rapport. Is that right? And how do we build rapport? We got them to talk about them. You know, most salespeople think that building rapport is about just finding common ground and letting the customer understand them. It's not about that. It's really about who? The customer. It's who, what, where, how, when. Asking those rapport-building questions. After that, we're going to do a little bit of investigating. Now, what do we investigate on? How'd you hear about us? Who's the lucky one? You remember? Who's the vehicle going to be for? Is this something they're going to be using for work or pleasure? After that, we investigate a little bit. Then we'll take them on to a presentation. Now, in our process, that step, the presentation, it's a feature, advantage, and benefit presentation. If you're doing a feature and advantage presentation without the B, you're just fading. You're making the vehicle expensive. After that, we do a great job on the presentation. We're going to take them on a demonstration. Is that right? Now, should we be asking our customers if they want to drive the vehicle? No. We should assume that they want to what? We should assume that they want to drive. I mean, if we do a really good job on our feature, advantage, and benefit presentation, it sets the customer up for the demo. That's the only reason why we do the presentation. You see, when you go inside the vehicle, the customer sits down in the passenger side. You walk around to the other side and you say, hey, let me show you some of the features inside of the vehicle. And when you sit down inside of the vehicle, you show them some of the features and the salesperson just says, buckle up. And you take it from park to drive. Guess what will happen? They'll buckle up. And if they don't, there's two objections that always come up. Is that right? What are they? We hear them every day from our salespeople. They said that they didn't have any what? Time. Well, if they say that they don't have any time, you know what? I don't have a whole lot of time myself. As a matter of fact, I have a lot of appointments coming in. Did you want to take the long route or the short route? What would the customer say? Short route. The short route. Oh, what about the other one? I already drove it. At where? The other dealership down the street. Is that right? Isn't that the other one that we get? Is that the other one we get? Yes or no? So as soon as they say, hey, I've already driven it. Well, let me show you some. That concerns me. The Suzuki Forenza normally sells itself. Why don't we just go ahead and show you some of the features that the other salesperson may have missed? Buckle up. What would they do? They'll buckle up. You see, we can't ask customers if they want to test drive. We have to assume the demo. Now, after the demo, we're going to walk them through where? We're going to walk them through service. Now, in the service department, are we selling features, advantage, and benefits? Of course we are. You know, all of our service departments have something that we can talk about, something that we can sell. There's some kind of advantage that you have over the other dealership. Maybe you have 38 techs. Could you sell that? Certified, 38 certified techs. Could you sell it? Of course you could. Maybe you have a small service department. Could you sell that? Of course you could. It's a lot more convenient. It's small. It's down home here. We come in, we'll get you in and out. There's always advantages. You just have to find what they are. That's selling. After that, they come inside and they take a look at our what? Our evidence manual, which is nothing but a collection of proof of everything that we've been telling them so far is true. How many of our salespeople have evidence manuals laid out on the desk or in the showroom where the customer can see them? We're going to focus on these first few steps here. These are the warm-up steps. This is where we do the meet and greet, qualify, build rapport, and touch base with the sales desk. Now, in our sales process, this is a little bit different than most. This is where it gets a little, this is the magic, some people call it. They're like, the customer comes in, and you guys told me yesterday, the first thing that they want to know, am I approved? Can I get this with no money down? I hope that they didn't make me drive down here for no what? For no reason at all. And they want to know if they can get the car. Well, how? And then once you figure out they can get the car, you've been talking to people all day long. You talk to 5 people. Finally, you got one that your manager types it into the computer, if you're a salesperson. Finally, you get one that can buy, and now they want the Escalade, and they want to pay how much a month? Is it always $250 or is it always $800? It's always $250. So how do we fix that? Well, it's in the warm-up steps. And in our warm-up, let's go back to the process now. And this is why the basics are the basics, and the basics will never change. They will never, ever, ever, ever change. And our problem is we've gotten away from the basics. And the basics is what sells cars. Now, but you don't understand. In our dealership, we have a whole bunch of people that have 395 beacons. We have a lot of customers that come in that have 450 beacons. And man, we're celebrating if we get a 500. Anybody ever run into that? Raise your hand. See, we can't focus on that. We can only focus on two things. Remember yesterday when we pre-qualify, what do? We want to know if the customer has a desire, and we want to know if they have the ability. Okay? These first three steps, we're bypassing everything. All we're doing is getting them to like us. So what we're going to do is motivate them to get the ability to buy, and we're going to motivate them to buy now.